I still remember the day I spoke my first sentence in English. It wasn't perfect. In fact, it was a little strange, but it was mine. I had created it with my own voice, and that made me proud. It felt like opening a door to a new world. A world full of stories, movies, music, and new friends. Before that moment, English was only a school subject. After that moment, English became a part of my life. Let me tell you how it all started. I grew up in a small town where almost no one spoke English. In school, we had English classes, but they were not very useful. The teacher would come into the classroom, write some grammar rules on the board, and ask us to repeat a few words. We practiced the alphabet and wrote simple sentences like, "This is a pen," or "That is a book." We didn't really speak. We didn't really listen. We just studied English like it was math, rules, formulas, and tests. At first, I was not interested in English. I thought it was boring. I didn't understand why I had to learn it. No one around me spoke it. No one used it in real life. But then something changed. One day, when I was about 12 years old, my cousin came to visit from another city. She was 2 years older than me, and she had been learning English in a private school. She was so confident. She could say things in English that I didn't even understand. She showed me how to introduce myself. "Hi, my name is Sarah," she said. "What's your name?" I listened to her and tried to repeat after her. It was difficult. My tongue felt heavy. I was afraid of making a mistake. But I also felt something new. I was curious. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the way she spoke. The words sounded so different, so exciting. I wanted to speak like that. I wanted to feel confident like her. The next day, I asked my cousin to teach me more. She smiled and said, "Okay, but you have to practice every day." I agreed. We started with simple things: numbers, days of the week, colors, greetings. Then we moved on to small sentences. She made flashcards and we played games. I listened to how she said the words. I repeated them many times. My cousin told me to watch cartoons in English. At first, I didn't understand much, but I could hear the sounds. Slowly, my ears started to recognize words. After she left, I continued learning on my own. I went to the library and borrowed English books for children. I read them out loud, even if I didn't understand everything. I copied the sentences into my notebook. I wrote my own simple sentences. I found some old CDs with English songs and listened to them. I looked up the lyrics and tried to sing along. One day, I discovered an English learning video on YouTube. It was a video for beginners. The speaker was friendly and slow. He said, "Repeat after me." And I did. I listened to the video every day. I practiced in front of the mirror. I started talking to myself in English, just a few words here and there. My confidence was growing, but I still hadn't spoken a real sentence to another person. I was waiting for the right moment. That moment came one morning in my English class at school. The teacher asked a simple question in English. "What is your favorite color?" She looked around the room. No one raised their hand. I felt my heart beat faster. I looked down at my notebook. My hands were shaking, but then I remembered my cousin's smile. I remembered all the practice I had done. I raised my hand slowly. "Yes," the teacher said. I stood up and said, "My favorite color is blue." The room was silent for a second. Then the teacher smiled. "Very good," she said. "Thank you." I sat down, feeling hot in the face, but inside I felt like a hero. That was my first sentence in English, spoken in front of the class. It was short, it was simple, but it was real. After that day, I started speaking more in class. I made more sentences. I asked and answered questions. I watched more English videos. I started reading short stories. I even tried writing a diary in English. My favorite moment came a few months later. We had visitors from another school, students who were learning English too. One of the girls came up to me and said, "Hi, how are you?" I smiled and said, "I'm fine, thank you. How are you?" We started a short conversation. We talked about school, our hobbies, and our favorite food. I was surprised that I could understand her and answer her questions. We exchanged contact information and became pen pals. We wrote emails in English. It was fun and helpful. Step by step, English became easier. I made it a part of my daily life. I watched TV shows with English subtitles. I listened to English podcasts. I spoke to myself in English when I was walking or doing chores. I wrote stories and read them to my younger brother. Sometimes he laughed at my pronunciation, but I didn't mind. I was learning. Now, many years later, I still remember that first sentence. It was the start of something amazing. English gave me confidence. It opened doors to new opportunities. I was able to travel, meet people from different countries, and learn about other cultures. I even got a part-time job as a tutor for younger students who were just starting their English journey. If you are learning English now, I want you to know something important. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to try. Start with one word, then two, then a sentence. Speak, even if your voice shakes. Make mistakes, because that's how you grow. Practice every day. Surround yourself with English, and remember that your first sentence, no matter how simple, is the beginning of a new chapter in your life. After I spoke that first sentence, something inside me changed. I was no longer afraid of English. I began to see it as a tool, not something difficult or scary, but something useful and exciting. The more I spoke, the more I wanted to learn. I started paying attention to how people used English in real life, not just in books or classrooms. One afternoon, I was walking past a small internet cafe near my house. I saw a sign in the window, "Learn English Online, Conversation Practice." My heart skipped a beat. I went inside and asked the owner about it. He told me there were free websites where people from different countries practiced English together. He helped me set up a free account on a language exchange site. That night, I had my first real online conversation with someone from Brazil. We both wanted to improve our English, so we took turns asking questions and answering them. It was hard at first. I had to type slowly and use a dictionary. but I felt so proud every time I understood something or was understood. I began chatting with people from all over the world: India, Japan, Egypt, Mexico. I learned about their cultures and hobbies. I realized English was not just a school subject. It was a bridge between people, a way to connect. The next big step in my journey came when my English teacher gave us a challenge. "Write and perform a short play in English," she said. My friends groaned. I felt nervous too. But then I had an idea. I suggested we write a simple story based on a popular fairy tale. My group agreed. We chose Little Red Riding Hood. I helped write the script. I even volunteered to play the grandmother. For days, we practiced our lines. We laughed a lot, especially when someone forgot a word or used the wrong pronunciation. But we helped each other. We recorded our rehearsals and listened to them to improve. I discovered that speaking English in a fun, creative way made me learn faster. On the day of the performance, I was nervous, but excited. When we finished, our classmates clapped and our teacher smiled. "That was wonderful," she said. "You all did great." That moment gave me another big boost of confidence. I realized I could use English not just to answer test questions, but to act, laugh, tell stories, and express myself. From then on, I started participating more in school activities. I joined the English club. We played games, watched movies, and even had small debates. We shared our favorite English songs and discussed the lyrics. I even tried writing a short poem in English and read it to the group. One weekend, our English club organized a movie night. We watched a popular animated film in English with subtitles. Afterward, we talked about the story and the characters. I was surprised that I could follow most of it without looking at the subtitles. That night, I decided to challenge myself even more. I started watching English videos without subtitles. At first, it was difficult, but after a few weeks, I noticed I was understanding more and more. English was becoming a natural part of my everyday life. I set small goals: learn 5 new words every day, write 1 sentence every morning, speak in English at least once a day. I kept a diary where I wrote about my day in English. Some days I wrote only a few sentences. Other days I wrote full paragraphs. Looking back, I realized that those small daily efforts made a big difference. Then came the most exciting part of my journey so far. One day, my school announced an English speaking competition. The theme was "A Moment That Changed My Life." When I saw the poster, I knew I had to join. I wanted to tell the story of my first English sentence. I spent weeks preparing. I wrote my speech and practiced it every day. I recorded myself and listened for mistakes. I practiced in front of the mirror, my friends, and even my dog. On the day of the competition, I was nervous, but ready. I stood on the stage, looked at the audience, and began my speech. "My name is Neela," I said. "Today I want to tell you about the first time I spoke a sentence in English." As I spoke, I saw people nodding and smiling. I finished my story with the words, "That first sentence changed my life, and I hope it inspires you to start speaking too." When the results were announced, I couldn't believe it. I had won second place. The judge told me, "Your story was simple but powerful. You spoke from the heart." I smiled and thanked her. That was one of the proudest moments of my life. Since then, I've continued my English journey. I started volunteering as a helper in beginner English classes. I helped students with their pronunciation and grammar. I shared tips that worked for me. I told them, "Don't be afraid, just speak. Your first sentence is the start of your success." One of the students, a shy girl named Amira, reminded me of myself. She didn't speak much, but she listened carefully. I worked with her after class. I taught her simple phrases and asked her questions. One day she finally said her first full sentence, "I like learning English." I clapped my hands and said, "That's wonderful, Amira." She smiled, and I saw the light in her eyes, the same light I felt when I spoke my first sentence. Helping others gave me more confidence, too. I realized that learning is not only about books and tests. It's also about sharing, connecting, and inspiring. Every person has their own story, and every first sentence matters. One summer, I applied for an online English writing course. It was taught by a teacher from another country. At first, I was afraid I wouldn't understand her, but I took the risk. The first class was hard, but I managed. I took notes, asked questions, and did the homework. The teacher gave feedback and said, "You have good ideas. Keep writing." Her encouragement meant a lot to me. During that course, I wrote my first short story in English. It was about a young girl who discovers a magic book that teaches her different languages. When I submitted it, the teacher wrote, "This is creative and original. Well done." That comment made me think maybe I could become a writer one day, so I started writing more. Little stories, diary entries, even song lyrics. I kept a notebook full of English words and expressions. I learned new idioms and tried using them. I played language games on my phone and used apps to learn vocabulary. English was no longer a subject. It had become a friend. The more I practiced, the more natural it felt. I didn't need to translate everything in my head anymore. I could think in English. I could dream in English. And one day I realized something amazing. I had become fluent. When I realized I had become fluent, it didn't happen in a dramatic way. It was during a normal conversation with a friend from another country. We were talking about our favorite books, and I was explaining why I loved one particular story. I was speaking naturally without stopping to think about every word. When the conversation ended, I paused. I had spoken for almost 10 minutes without switching to my native language, not once. That's when it hit me. I had done it. I could speak English. Fluency didn't mean I was perfect. I still made small mistakes. I still searched for the right words sometimes. But I could express my thoughts, share my feelings, and hold a real conversation. That was the dream I had when I spoke my first sentence. My favorite color is blue. From that simple sentence to this fluent conversation, I had come a long way. But I knew this wasn't the end. Learning a language is a journey that never truly stops. There's always more to learn, more ways to grow. That's the beauty of it. One day I got an email from an international youth program. They were looking for volunteers to join an online cultural exchange project. I applied and was accepted. Each week I met with students from around the world. We spoke only in English. We shared stories, traditions, and ideas. I was no longer just a learner. I was a communicator, a global citizen. That experience taught me that English is not just about grammar or vocabulary. It's about connection. It's about understanding others and being understood. It's about finding your voice and using it. Later, I was invited to give a short talk to a group of younger students starting their English journey. I stood in front of the class and said, "I used to sit where you are." I was afraid to speak. I didn't believe I could do it. But I want to tell you something important. If I can speak English, so can you. I told them about my first sentence. I explained how I practiced every day, watched videos, talked to myself, and didn't give up even when it was hard. I said, "Your first sentence is the beginning. Don't wait for the perfect time. Start now. Speak now. Even if it's not perfect, that's how we learn." After the talk, a young boy came up to me. He looked shy but excited. He said, "My name is Ali. I want to speak English too." I smiled and replied, "You already did. That was your first sentence. Great job." His eyes lit up and I saw my younger self in him. Years passed, but I never forgot where it all began. I started a small YouTube channel to help others learn English. I shared tips, stories, and pronunciation practice. I named the channel English 5 Days because I wanted everyone to feel what I had felt, that speaking one simple sentence could change everything. People from all over the world began to watch my videos. They left comments saying, "I finally understand," or "This helped me speak my first sentence." Some even shared their own first sentences. It made me realize how powerful words can be. A single sentence can inspire hope, build courage, and start a journey. Looking back, I understand something very clearly now. It's not just about learning English. It's about believing in yourself. It's about taking small steps every day, even when they feel difficult. It's about celebrating every little success, like speaking your first sentence. I still keep a notebook where I write my goals and achievements. On the very first page, I wrote the sentence that started it all. My favorite color is blue. I keep it there to remind myself that every big dream begins with one small step. Today, I work as a language coach, helping students gain confidence and fluency. I tell them, "You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. Speak today. Speak now. Your first sentence is your first success." English changed my life. It gave me a voice, a path, and a future. And it all started with one sentence, spoken in a small classroom by a nervous student who dared to try. So if you are reading this and wondering, can I really learn English? Can I really speak? My answer is yes. Start with one word, then one sentence. Speak it aloud. Let it be your first step on the journey of a lifetime.